for the past 15, 20 years, most music in a studio, most albums are recorded digitally. It's recorded onto a hard drive and then edited in a computer program called Pro Tools, which is like the Photoshop for music. It allows you to change anything. You can take a drum beat and move it one note over. You can auto-tune the voice. You can do all sorts of stuff. But what a lot of musicians and artists were realizing and noticing is that the sound they were getting out of that, because of the nature of the process, because you could change everything, wasn't what they liked. It wasn't as good as what they had before, or it wasn't what they grew up listening to, what their sound aspired to. And so all sorts of musicians, from Gillian Welch to Jack White, even older musicians like Dave Grohl and the Foo Fighters, have gone back to recording their albums on analog equipment. They've gone back to saying, okay, roll the tape, and it's a physical tape, and we're going to get what we get in this take. And we can edit some of it later, but we're not going to micro-adjust everything to get this vanilla Britney Spears sound. It's a raw, real sound. And so you're seeing that. Even if that music is then, mostly listened to on iPhones, on streaming services, that core process becomes part of it, and people are seeking it out. The thing about digital technology, which is great about it, is that it's democratic, it's ubiquitous. Everybody has it. You and I can download Pro Tools and record an album in our living rooms, with a lot of the same tools as someone who does it in a professional studio. But when everybody does the same thing, when everyone has that, you need to differentiate yourself through other means. And so a lot of people are saying, well, what's the way it used to be done? I interviewed a man named Ken Scott, who's a famous Grammy-winning recording engineer. The first record he ever worked on when he was 15 years old was A Hard Day's Night. And he worked on every Beatles record since and recorded with Elton John and Duran Duran and all these great legends of rock music. And he had recently moved to Nashville from Los Angeles because he wanted to work with more analog studios. He wanted more of that sound. And I said, why? And he said, I was the engineer for Ziggy Stardust, that entire album. And when Bowie was singing the end of 5 Years, do you know that song? Yes? If you don't know that song, please, God, go download it now. Or buy the record. Yes, of course. What am I saying? He said, he was straining so hard at the end of that, tears were streaming down his face, and his voice was cracking. He said, I've been in the studio recently with other musicians, legends of rock and roll like Bowie, and their voice cracks on a thing and they just fix it in a computer. He says, I don't want that because records like that would never be made if that's the way we keep going.